Hello, Saddlers fans. Welcome to another episode of the Saddlers podcast. I'm your host, Simon Hill. A big thank you to all of you that joined us on our last episode with the boxer Hamza Udin, creating waves up and down the country. And I think he's got a very bright future, especially given what's taken place in boxing lately. I think we've got a lot to be excited about when it comes to Hamza Udin. Thank you to everyone who's listening, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening to in the world. Be sure to subscribe, like, and download those episodes. And of course, if you're watching us live on YouTube, be sure to hit that subscribe button and don't miss a single episode. Well, I am joined by another guest, and this time we promised you a current player, and we have one. Sat opposite me on this episode, I'm joined by a man who needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway. 56 appearances in all competitions, 3 goals under his belt. He's put his body on the line and created some key moments here at the club since signing in 2023. He signed a new 2-year deal recently back in September and is here today. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Harry Williams to the Saddlers podcast. Harry, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, cheers for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you, and you were always on the list. I know there's a little bit of banter off camera, so for everyone watching, Harry thinks he was third choice on this.
But I've been told by Jammer and JJ, so but no, I'm glad to be here.
Well, we're going to dive real deep into the career of Harry Williams, where it all started, where it is now. But first of all, there's a question on everyone's minds right now. How are you feeling? How's recovery going? And is there any news on when we can expect you back?
Yeah, it's going really well. Progress has been really good. Obviously, when the injury came about, it was a really probably negative time for myself. The way it came, the way I was out of contract, obviously the Wembley final loss and things like that. And I'm not going to lie, I'll be open. It did take a toll on me mentally. But being back around the boys, obviously signing the new 2-year deal and having that backing from the club, it's just sort of made me want to work harder, and each day's got easier. So, yeah, in terms of time frame on being back, it's looking about March, probably back end of next year now. So March into April. So if we can work towards a couple of games at the end of the season and be back for that promotion push, then that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, definitely. And you've actually came straight from rehab here, and you're working hard in rehab. You're now back to light stretching and training, I believe.
Yeah. So recently, I've just got out on the pitch. So I've done 2 pitch sessions now.
Nice.
Like you said there, I've just come over from Walsall campus, University of Wolverhampton, and they're allowing me to use their facilities, which has been fantastic. So I've been using the anti-gravity treadmill there. So that's an interesting one for these guys. They probably don't know what that is really, but essentially, it allows me to run at a percentage of my body weight. So today I've ticked off 70%, and we'll work towards 100% now. So yeah, small strides, but it's going well.
Nice. All good. Small achievements are still achievements, right? And
yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah, exactly that.
I want to take everyone right back. You know, growing up in Worcestershire. So again, little behind the scenes for you. Got that wrong in my initial notes until Harry went, "That's not where I'm from."
Warwickshire, apparently. So
well, it would have sounded better.
Well,
it's a nice part of the world.
It is a very nice part of the world. Warwick Castle, I've been there before.
Yeah, well, see, if you'd grown up around there, you'd know more about it.
But I didn't, so that's the main thing.
When did you first discover football? What are your earliest memories growing up in Worcester? And, you know, was it one of those just kicking the ball around the streets or at school? What were your earliest memories?
Yeah, so growing up, I had an older brother, so we were very lucky in the garden, sort of playing with him. And it came about that there was the village I lived in, Cookley. There was an AstroTurf down in the village, so around 4 or 5. My brother was obviously 6 or 7 at the time, and I used to just go down with him. And to be honest, I didn't really want to get involved. I wanted to go and build dens and go to the park and things like that. And yeah, it was a case of I'd be stuck in goal if I did get involved, and that was my sort of early memories. And then when they put me outfield, there was just a natural ability there, and yeah, it started from there really.
Did you go through local teams and start playing, for your local boroughs? You get some of those park teams, don't you, and weekly Sunday league teams. Did you start there?
Yeah, Sunday League. So I was Sunday League all the way through. So my first Sunday League team was Cookley Eagles it was. I think that was under sevens or under eights. So played as a striker, played with my mates from primary school, and yeah, it's more so fun than anything, and just floated about different Sunday league teams, and then finally obviously worked myself up really. So yeah, I've had my fair share of Sunday league teams, but it's got me to where I am really. So yeah.
An interesting one there. You started as a striker. What made you then take that transition into becoming a defender?
I don't know, just slowly as I progressed forward, moved back. I suppose because I had a natural ability when I was younger, I just got put up front, and I was scoring goals, just enjoying myself. And I suppose naturally, as you get older, you get more physical. I was a tall lad, so I suppose being tall, I slowly started moving sort of back from centre mid. And then as soon as I joined West Brom, that's when they saw me as like a profile. I had a profile of a defender, really, just down probably to my build, my size. And then, yeah, obviously having the natural technical ability anyway, they just wanted to obviously mould me into a defender, and that's helped me achieve what I've achieved today. So,
And let's go to West Brom. You got brought through the youth academy there. 6 years you spent at West Brom. What's some of the fondest memories from when you first got that contract conversation to then going through the academy?
yeah, it all happened really quickly. And I'll say this to a lot of people, I'm so glad I had the time of Sunday League. That time was massive in terms of just enjoying it. Obviously, you do things like a normal kid, you grow up normally. I was playing down the park at the same time as that and things like that. And I feel if you're in academy from an early age, you kind of get brought away from that a little bit. It's a bit more structured. You're having to go training Tuesdays, Thursdays. I know boys from West Brom that have been there, some like under nines, eights. And I think I've always told myself that I've gone about it the right way in terms of getting there a little bit later.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, it's not to say those guys anything against them guys that have done it that way, but I'm so grateful that I've sort of seen both parts of it, had that childhood, and sort of joining West Brom at 13s was a massive, complete change. Really, it was so new to me, and but yeah, the way I sort of got into it was very good, I think, and I've gone about it the right way. So.
Even at the age of 13, do you still have to make a lot of sacrifices? Of course, you've still got to be a kid. You still got to do the normal things that we do, but you still have to make a few sacrifices along the way?
Yeah, of course. So when I joined there, it was a case of there was once a week where I had to come out of school on Tuesdays, and obviously saying that to the teachers at my high school. It was year seven, I think I was signed at the time, and having that conversation with the headmaster to say, "Will you allow me out of school?" It was very like, well, education comes first and things like that. And then you look at the side of it of training Tuesdays, Thursdays, that sacrifice of my parents, and obviously on my brother as well. So mum and dad are finishing work, and they've got to get me there. It's still an hour journey from where I live, so in Cookley to West Brom. So all that sort of sacrifice, you don't realise it at a young age, really. You just sort of go with the flow. But when I look back on it now, the sacrifices of my parents, my brother, to get me to those sessions, yeah, ultimately they're the people that help you the most.
Talk to us about what it's actually like being under the West Brom Academy. You know, what was a day in the life like for you there whilst you're growing up as a kid and you're going through these academy with some of these great players, great names. Was there a challenge for you growing up within that space?
Yeah, it's so competitive. Every player's journey is different, and ultimately you're competing against a selection of lads that are probably the best of that age in the country in terms of at those academies. And West Brom always had a really well-known and well-known sort of academy system. They produce players and things like that. So yeah, it's a massive thing for boys, and you see lads getting released when you're 14, 15. You have yearly reviews, and yeah, it really puts into perspective what lads go through. And if one lad gets a contract and sees another guy go, it's kind of like dealing with that. And yeah, growing up was really seeing different faces, seeing new people come in. And there's a period of where at 15s we had to decide whether you'd go full time or not. So that was year nine, and then making decisions on bringing lads on a full time program at 15s and 16s. So
Yeah.
sort of a year 10 and 11 school years. And obviously, I was lucky enough, they wanted me to do that as they saw I was progressing well. and going from 2 days a week, they want you full-time for sort of training 4 times a week at that age. I had to make a tough choice of moving schools, so I left everything behind in year 9 at the previous high school I was at, and moved to Sandwell Academy, which was right next door to the training ground. So that was another decision I made, but I think it's helped me. Obviously, in terms of friends and socialising, that was affected a little bit, but ultimately the main goal for me was to try and pursue the career, and yeah, sort of it's happened now, but there's sacrifices along the way, which is anything really with everything.
Was there a sense of achievement when you got took on as a 15, 16-year-old, then there's the contract and we want you to continue with us? Was that the moment it clicked for you, I can make this a professional career now?
Yeah, massively. Up until that point, it's a big thing, of course, saying sort of full-time, moving schools. It was a very difficult decision, but I think I was doing well at the time, and obviously there was things happening in terms of internationally, call-ups as well. I was in and around that. I had good sort of academy players within my age group, and it was competitive. And yeah, of course, God, I've lost what we were talking about. Just been rambling on. Go on. We'll go again.
How important was it for you? Was there a sense of achievement for when you got that contract at West Brom from 15, 16, knowing you were being kept on?
Yeah, so at that time, obviously, when you get to 16s, they're going to make a decision on you in terms of scholarships and things like that. So ultimately, there was a hybrid and sort of a full-time program. And to be given that full-time program kind of early at that point, you sort of feel like you're heading in the right direction, and it just gives you that sort of springboard and confidence. And yeah, it allows you to be in and around it and get that sort of full-time feeling earlier on, if you sort of get where I'm coming from. So yeah,
exactly.
so it was obviously a massive thing for me, and yeah, I do see it as a big achievement really at the time.
And your contract did expire with West Brom eventually, and you were 18 at the time, I think, if I'm correct. How do you process what comes next? You're without a club. You were having trials. I think you had a trial with Aston Villa, which led to then a trial with Burnley. But at that time, you're without a club. Is that worrying? Is that a concerning thing as an 18-year-old? Where do I go now? What happens?
Yeah, it is. It's certainly a worrying time. Obviously, being there 6 years, it's sort of all I know. I signed my professional contract when I was 17, and that second year scholarship, it was a weird time. The first year scholars at the time, no, the second year scholars at the time, I was a first year scholar. They had a really, really good group, so it was competitive, and some lads in sort of my sort of team didn't get much game time, and obviously COVID hit at that time as well. So we was playing FA Youth Cup, and literally a month later, all football stopped. So that uncertain time was massive. No one sort of knew what was going on. I had boys that I'd been with for a while that had been let go in COVID in such a difficult time. But I suppose that was a choice where the club had to make decisions on people, and it's not going to be good for everyone. And I came out on the lucky side in terms of being offered something. But then going through that period, and I had injuries in that season, and obviously it was affected with games in terms of the lockdown and restrictions. And when I did get released, it was obviously a really difficult time. I've got a story about that actually. So when meetings came about, I was expecting obviously a call to say what the sort of scenario was. And I think 2 weeks before the meeting, I had a message off my mate saying, "Have you seen this Twitter post?" And I was like, "No." And he said, "Apparently you've already been let go by West Brom." I was like, "Wow,
Oh,
news to me." So this is things that people don't see about football as well. So apparently it'd been already leaked 2 weeks before my actual meeting that I was getting let go. So to deal with that as well was tough at the time.
finding out through social
Yeah,
media.
so obviously I had to go into that meeting already knowing the outcome really, and that was sort of, I've had so many good years at West Brom with sort of tournaments, seeing boys and things like that, and the way it sort of ended was a bit bittersweet really. But the positive that came out of that was I got released in the March, so there was still a couple months of the season left. and that's where you go on to sort of, it allowed me to go to Aston Villa on trial. I went straight to Burnley on trial as well, and yeah, I think that was sort of, having the way it happened just gave me that extra bit of motivation to sort of prove the people wrong at the club, basically.
So it fueled a fire in you, really.
Yeah, of course.
And we'll go on to Aston Villa because you competed for both Aston Villa and Burnley in Premier League 2, which is essentially an under-21s league, isn't it? And you played for Aston Villa. Did you play against Burnley? Is that correct?
No, so Villa came about because basically at the time, my academy manager all the way through at West Brom, he left the under 16s or in my first year scholar, and we got a new academy manager in at West Brom. So he went over to Villa. And then a lot of the sort of staff followed and things like that. I think the head of recruitment who recruited me when I was younger, Steve Hopcroft, he went over to Villa, and then the academy manager, Mark Harrison, obviously was there. So when they heard I got released from West Brom, they were kind of like, come in, we'll have a look at you and things like that. And I think my first game for them was against Newcastle away. So I sort of travelled with the team, stayed over, and then played a game for them. And it was just kind of like a week or two away just for fitness kind of thing. It was a trial, but not a trial at the same time, because they sort of wanted me in there just to help me out, basically. And change the scenery. So that was sort of the only game I played for them. So.
And the Villa team back then had some recognisable names in defence: Tyrone Mings, Ezri Konza, Luca Digne as well, managed by Dean Smith, another name very familiar with the Saddlers fans. Did you get to interact with any of the big guys in the senior team whilst you were there?
No, not at all, really. Obviously, I saw glimpses of them. The training ground there is unbelievable. So, but no, didn't come across any of the first team as such to talk to. But yeah, the sort of calibre of players anyway that were sort of in the 21s at the time was still good as well. So
you got to train with some really impressive talents as well, which of course I imagine would inspire you to up your game whilst you're there as well.
Yeah, massively. Of course, when you're going on trial, it's always a daunting thing, but I think for me, I always saw it as the opposite. It's kind of a free chance to sort of just get yourself out there. So when I have ever gone on trial to places, even when I came here, it was sort of, there's no pressure on me. It's just, just be yourself, and what will be will be. So that's the sort of mindset I rolled with.
And we'll fast forward, as it was announced 12th of July 2021 that you'd signed for Burnley, a 1-year deal with a potential extension. You were under the tutelage of Steve Stone and Andy Farrell, I think, in the under-23s setup. What were some of your fondest memories there at Burnley?
Yeah, I really like Burnley, actually. I've got a mate that is a Burnley fan as well. So it was, when that came about, it was sort of, he was buzzing a little bit as well. So and yeah, so when I first went there, it was Steve Stone and Andy Farrell, obviously big names in terms of Andy Farrell was a legend at the club. And obviously, no one needs me to say about Steve Stone in terms of the career he's had. And they brought me in. They really liked me. They liked what I was about. They liked my attitude. And there was, I think I had a month or so with Steve Stone, and something went on with the assistant manager of Sean Dyche. And Steve Stone obviously stepped up into that role. So I think we got a new manager in at the time, which was Michael Jackson, I believe.
Yeah.
So not that Michael Jackson. But,
so thanks for clarifying that.
But no, it was my first time away from home and things like that. So I had to man up quite quickly. It was a difficult one with Burnley. I think going into it with Steve Stone, it was like, and when it changed, it sort of threw me off a little bit. I didn't probably adapt. I was away from home, and I probably let other things off the pitch sort of neglect on the pitch.
Yeah.
I didn't sort of get on with the 21s manager. There was lads that kind of didn't go out on loan and things like that. But these are all experiences that I've took with me, and game time was a little bit short at 21s, and by the end of it, I think I'd sort of, off the pitch, I took loads from it in terms of being away from home, manning up, those sort of things that come with it, fending for yourself a little bit, doing my weekly food shop, living on my own. I live with two lads, which were, one was French and one was from Bermuda.
Oh wow!
So that was a little bit of a change as well. So a bit international household. along with me from the Midlands. The accents were mad. No, those sort of experience I took from Burnley. In terms of on the pitch, it wasn't nothing really stood out to me. The only one that did stand out with me from that season was when I played, obviously, West Brom. Obviously, being old club, I was sort of fired up for it, and the things that come with that, seeing familiar faces and just. But yeah, no. All in all, it was something that I needed. But at the end of it, I think I needed to come back, and that was the decision I made to come back and join for Alvechurch, obviously, to start that next phase, which was my first sort of stint in men's football, really.
It segs really well into my next question, because at the age of 19, you've already experienced football at West Brom, Aston Villa, Burnley, all big clubs with unique setups. Again, you've been under the tutelage of some really good names, as well as being in a setup with some great talent. Was this a way for you to learn and keep motivated to just want to keep upping your game and, eventually finding your feet, like you said, at Alvechurch, to then settle into what we know now as Harry Williams?
Yeah, of course. 21's, I think 21's football can be different for loads of people. Obviously, in terms of the games program, you get fewer games, and if lads are ahead of you, they might play more. But in terms of being at those sort of having those experiences, you are playing with unbelievable players in terms of the best at those sort of age groups. So I took loads of little bits from it. I just think when the time came to join Alvechurch, it was the right time. I think I'd kind of had enough of 21's football.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's weird, like, it's completely different to first team football, like, in terms of the environment of things. It can be a bit, like, not necessarily backstabbing, but everybody's there for himself. The games probably don't really mean anything. It's more so the development side of it, which I think's good, because I learnt a lot from the coaches. Obviously, they're brilliant coaches and everything. But yeah, I think it was such a massive decision for me to come home, be around my loved ones and things like that after a time of being away and feeling a little bit isolated. And that next step I chose, I just think was the best decision I've sort of ever made. And yeah, everything at Alvechurch just brings me and fills me with so many sort of good memories, really.
What are the three biggest things you feel that you learnt from those initial few years at West Brom, Aston Villa and Burnley?
I've picked up so many things. The main thing I feel like I always struggled with when I was at those kind of places was believing in myself. So I feel like once I grasped that and sort of had that sense of understanding that you are more than good enough to be where you are, those sort of things never define you. I've achieved a lot in terms of those academy days, but ultimately all those things, those sort of releases, potentially a few injuries, potentially not being in the team, sort of prepared me to be the man sort of that I am, and just staying grounded and just believing in myself. Just all that, really, just having that sense of purpose to know who I am.
Toughened you up.
Yeah, essentially that, yeah. So I moved away, I've experienced that. I've had the heartache of releases, injuries, but all of that has put me to the person I am today.
And before we get to Alvechurch and your career at Walsall Football Club, you had another impressive addition to your professional career where you represented your country at under 15s level. Talk to us about your memories there.
Yeah, it got brought up a lot last year, to be fair, because I think a team sheet got released on Twitter. And I know I read some comments from the fans saying, "Is this Harry Williams?" And I was like, obviously I knew it was that. Obviously, boys coming in, they never knew. You'll get to know about me. I'm keep everything quite private and things with that in terms of like social media, things like that. So yeah, it is me. So on that team sheet, and there is some big names on that team sheet as well.
Well,
so
let's get into that.
You probably are going to mention that anyway.
Absolutely. You were in the starting 11 for this game against Belgium. I just want to read out some of the names that were in that squad. that you shared the pitch with that day. Yunus Musa of AC Milan was the captain.
Yeah.
Playing in front of you, was Noni Maduake.
Yeah.
On the score sheet was Cole Palmer. On the bench, Jamal Musiala, Jude Bellingham, Morgan Rogers, and Amad Diallo.
Yeah.
It's not a bad team, is it, that?
It's not bad at all. Not bad at all.
When you look back at that day and the build-up to it, now you're able to... I mean, hindsight's a wonderful thing. And you're able to look back. What do you take away from a moment like that?
No, I think for years I was sort of shied away from it and probably came into my shell a little bit, which seems mad. I'm gonna admit that, but looking back, it was to play with the likes of those players and to say I was at that level, playing with them at that sort of age. Going back, I was playing Sunday League at under 12s, and 3 years later, I was playing at the pinnacle of sort of with the best players at that time in the age group. And I think the way it came about, there's a few injuries. I think the likes of, I don't know whether Harwood Bellis and sort of them players were injured at the time, and obviously when I got that call, it was yeah. I can't even remember how I sort of reacted, but obviously overjoyed. Family were buzzing. Obviously, I think at the game I brought my mum, my dad, my brother. I think I brought my first coach as well to that game. Obviously, because it's such a massive thing, and yeah, I do look back on it with immense pride. I think the way the game did go, I hate to say it, and it's probably what we'll come on to as well, but I got a knock in the first half. One of the strikers, obviously from Belgium, took me out and started bleeding, so I did come off pretty early on.
Yeah.
And I think I was devastated with that, and I think that did massively knock my confidence, because I came away from it feeling a bit like you said, how they've gone on to have that sort of those careers. If I'd have made probably a better account of myself or played a little bit longer, you never know if I'd have been called up again. Obviously, it was sort of it was almost, it's like a free hit kind of, like maybe looking back, didn't make the most of it, and circumstances happened within the game. But no, looking back at it now, to have played with sort of those names fills me with immense pride, and you never know. Let's hope I can sort of get back on the pitch and reach potentially the heights and try and get as close as possible to the top.
Well, I'm sure all the Saddlers fans will agree that the sky's the limit for you. We haven't finished with the names in that game because you had to defend against Jeremy Doku in that one as well.
Yeah, I was surprised. I looked back on the team sheet and it was Jeremy Doku. I didn't even realise he was playing. So, and you look at him now. So, for me to go to what he was like in the game, I know all of them. I think they played a front three, and I think they potentially could have been like 2-0 up within the first opening minutes of the game, just of how sort of electric they are. You see what he's like now, and yeah, so it would have been a tough day at the office for sure. I think for anyone really with the ability of Jeremy Doku. So yeah, it was a surprise to me when I looked back on the team sheet to see his name down there and realise it was actually him.
Yeah, the guy who scored 2 goals is now right back for Anderlecht as well. So yeah, so he's gone from striker to right back.
There we go. Yeah,
that transition. Just
just like me early on. Yeah.
You joined Alvechurch in 2022. You played 39 times for them in your first season. The most popular appearance was off the bench, of course, with the most famous victory probably in recent times for Alvechurch over League One's Cheltenham Town, which caught the headlines. We've taken you on a journey throughout your career about some of the highs and lows, but this surely was a real high for you.
Yeah, Alvechurch was. That game in particular, I'll come on to that. But the way Alvechurch came about, a lad I played with the academy at West Brom, his dad was the chairman at Alvechurch, and he was keen on knowing my situation, that I'd been released from the academy system. And it was him really that sort of said to me, I think this would be the perfect step in the journey for you, coming here and getting a taste of it. So at first, obviously, you come from an academy, you're trying to still try and find a team potentially in the Football League, League 2, League 1, but nothing was coming about. So I went for a trial, things like that. And yeah, looking back on it now, the group of lads we had there at the time, in terms of young, old. It was just the perfect match. The gaffer was a real taste of just non-league Ian Long and his assistant Richard Colwell's. They were just characters, typical shouty managers, but they always got the best out of us. And the thing that appealed to me there was we did sort of like a hybrid program. So it was 4 days a week. So obviously we'd train Monday mornings, train Tuesday evenings, train Thursday evenings. So it kind of worked around the older boys and the younger boys.
Right, yeah.
So it was kind of, for me, it was still a way where I could train 4 times a week and still try and pursue a career in the game, really. But yeah, we had a very good FA Cup run, as you've touched on. We played 4 qualifying rounds to get to the first round. I didn't start many games, I don't think, in the FA Cup. Obviously, I made a decent amount of appearances later on, towards in the back end of the season. But yeah, there was some special games in that run in terms of coming back from 2-0 down and things like that. And to go 4 qualifying rounds and then, yeah, it's the first round. It's like that sort of going into that Cheltenham game, underdog mentality. We had the cameras there, like the live draw was at our place. Yeah, it's just so many experiences like that you wouldn't get at academy level, and I think that's why I was so happy that I made that decision in the end.
Yeah.
And there, going on to the Cheltenham game, I managed to come on with 20 minutes to go, I believe. I think we was 2-1 up. And it was just a case of holding on. They were shelling balls, heading it away. And then that final whistle went, and yeah, pitch invasion.
Yeah.
It was
What a
mad.
moment.
It was mad though, because when our like home gates were only like 200 attendance, we got 1,500 away fans for that game. So 1,500 probably fake fans, but it didn't feel like that anyway. It was friends, family in there, loads of people that came down to support a local sort of grassroots club, and yeah, I'll never forget that day. There's a good video on YouTube actually that sort of inspires me a little bit, that I've watched before games and stuff, just with sort of the pitch invasion, the photos after, and that feeling of beating a League One club at the time was completely, a day I'll never forget.
Was this a reset for you, going to Alvechurch? You've come through the academy, we've talked about that, but now you've gone back and you thought, right, for me now to really become the defender I want to be, let me reset, let me come back to go forward.
Yeah, it was. And I think you can see how sort of I speak passionately about it. It was exactly what I needed. I just feel like I got caught up in being in the academy for, I think in total, from 13s to sort of 19, so 6 years of my career, really. Exactly what you said. It was a breath of fresh air for me, and learning off the likes of just older players that it's ultimately your livelihood's on the line because you're trying to get 3 points at the end of it.
Yeah.
At that sort of, if you don't play games, some lads don't get paid. So you're playing to get paid, basically. You've got to win games. You've got to try and keep the club in a position where they can keep trying to move forward. And yeah, I keep saying it, but I thank everybody at the club at the time, and it allowed me to progress and give me that new lease of life, really, to push me on into the Football League.
July 2023. We made it, Sadler's fans. It was announced that you'd signed for Walsall Football Club. Matt Sadler had said on the announcement that you had the ability and right attitude that he was looking for to grow the team he was building. Talk to us about what it meant for you now to make that next step, to come to Walsall Football Club. And, I mean, the rest is history, but we're going to go through it anyway.
Yeah, it just felt like all the work I'd put in had finally sort of paid off. Obviously, I've known Walsall. I've driven past the stadium countless of times on journeys and always seen it, but never thought I'd probably be there, potentially. You just don't know. But when it came about, obviously I came in on trial, didn't I? I had that sort of trial period of and it felt like, obviously, Gaffer was a new sort of his first role, wasn't it? And it was a young manager. Yeah, it was just nice to have that feeling of someone wanting to take a chance on what he saw in me. I think I did really well when I came in on trial, and just have that belief from someone to sort of say, initially coming in as kind of a project, and then from being a project, things moved on quite quickly, really,
Yeah.
in terms of getting in the starting lineup sooner than I thought. But yeah, it just gave me that confidence that I can try and make a living out of the game.
Was there a little bit more to it when you had that trial and faced Aston Villa for you?
Yeah,
Almost full circle.
yeah, in a way, yeah, because there was boys that I think in that Villa squad that I'd probably played in the academy anyway. So yeah, meaning they're at obviously Villa, but my journey has led me to that position anyway, in terms of the same, but just in different ways.
Yeah.
So going into that game, I didn't even think Villa, it was just another game really, sort of prepare the same. And again, because I think, as I touched on earlier, I just gave myself that freedom to sort of put no pressure on myself. They're the better team anyway. It's like that sort of Alvechurch moment when we played Cheltenham. They're 2 levels above, but I think that just puts you at ease a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, but no, having a good game against Villa, I think, did sort of help me out with sort of the fans and sort of obviously the gaffer making that final decision on bringing me to the club.
Do you remember the first player who welcomed you to the club, and do you remember what he said?
No, I don't actually. No, that's terrible, isn't it?
Terrible.
Yeah, it is. I'm not too sure who it was, but I can speak on any of the boys if it was any of the boys. They were a great group, and yeah, that's the one thing at this football club. We're very lucky to have the sort of individuals that either the gaffer brings in or from higher above as well. They're all just down to earth, well-grounded people, and it makes sort of the transition so much easier.
Yeah.
Coming from non-league to obviously a professional football league environment, which can be a little bit daunting for people, but obviously everybody who was there, whoever welcomed me on that first day, made the whole process really, really easy.
And we talked about the training regime you were at under Alvechurch. But what was the difference like, and you being able to adapt to something totally different at Walsall Football Club?
Obviously, I don't feel it was that much of a change. Obviously, being full-time from, as I touched on it earlier, probably from like 16s onwards, really, I'd sort of prepared myself for that sort of day-to-day work anyway. And you said that Alvechurch year probably gave me a reset, and then coming back into full-time again, I was just ready and raring to go. I've had a taste of it, and I was just hungry to sort of take up the opportunity, really. And yeah, it was sort of the main thing that was different was obviously the ability of the players. Sort of the first few games, I noticed how you had to always be on it. You've got to be consistent. You can't just go through the motions. You've got to work hard every day. You've got the facilities compared to obviously the non-league facilities. You've got no excuse, really. It's sort of down to you to sort of work as hard as you can to put yourself in the best light and put forward, really.
And you made your debut against Morecambe. Despite the result, Matt Sadler said he was impressed with your performance. He was very excited to see what you were going to do at Walsall Football Club. What was it like to hear that from the gaffer who, like you said earlier, has put all his faith in you, brought you in from non-league and now giving you a chance to shine, and already he's impressed with how things are looking?
Yeah, that speaks volumes. Having that sort of confidence and backing from the gaffer was massive for me. Obviously playing right side, I think that game, was it Donovan and Chris Hussey, was it? Yeah, so having those
Good memory.
having those sort of players to learn off in that game was good. It obviously came a lot quicker than I expected, but I think that was a good thing for me, getting thrown in the deep end early on, and then sort of showing the manager what you can do early on, and sort of having the backing from him just gives you that extra confidence. And I say that about our gaffer. It's sort of, I feel like he makes it easy for you. He'll tell you what you need to work on and things like that. But he's very positive minded, and I think that's what gets the best out of the group, really.
He's very honest, isn't he, Matt Sadler? He's very direct, knows what he wants, like you said. And you've got people like that who've also played for the club. Darren Byfield's a legend of the club. What's it like having these people around? Of course, we've got people like Albert Adoma, Jamil Matt, both experienced as well. Is it a real good learning tree in there? Is everyone there to support one another and really back each other?
Yeah, I'll touch on Daz and Gaz first. They've been massive for me. Obviously, just chats here and there. Just, I think the main thing for me when I came from obviously Alvechurch was believing in myself, and I was probably in my shell for the first couple of months. But just having a chat with those and saying you deserve to be here. You sort of just having those little comments in the back of your mind just fill you with comfort really. And you touched on likes of Unks, Jammer, even sort of the boys that are there now as well that are experienced lads. They just pass little bits on every now and then, and it just goes a really long way. Even just conversations about life stuff as well. Just the bond the players have off the pitch, sort of, it just makes the whole process of playing easier, really.
And has that been an important aspect for you since joining Walsall Football Club? Not just everything that goes on the pitch, on the training ground, but also being able to gel, bond, and really get to know the people that you're in there with every week.
Yeah, literally, just with the groundsman like Ellis, I'll touch on this. We play darts pretty much twice a week, and that probably helps him out in terms of just giving him a switch off. And then it gives me a switch off as well at the moment in terms of my injury. Just little things like that. Even just little conversations with the chef, Joycey. It just puts everybody at ease. It makes the whole environment nicer to come into. You don't want to come into a place of work where you don't enjoy the people that are there.
Yeah.
I feel like even with you guys, the media team, just everybody's just down to earth, willing to work hard, but yeah, to sort of have fun and bounce off each other as well. So just the normal things, just being a normal sort of, just normal. It sounds stupid, but we're very lucky of the group we've got and the people that work around the club as well.
It's also something I guess a lot of fans of football in general don't really understand or see. It's not over glamorized at some clubs. You know, it can feel like that on the bigger levels, but there are also a lot of good family clubs out there and a lot of clubs that really instill just a togetherness. And that goes from top to bottom at our club, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I can drum on about it for hours and and speak about everyone that I've sort of come across. I touched on it earlier in terms of like academies. I feel like it's a bit more fake in a way at times. There can be a bit more egos and stuff like that. And then as soon as I've been very lucky, as soon as I've started my men's journey at Alvechurch, we had an amazing group, amazing gaffer, sort of chairman, and then stepping into Walsall, obviously, same again. And to have that sort of family feel throughout the club, I think that's why we've done so well. And you've seen the progressions in terms of first season finishing 11th, us around there, and then obviously the year after going so close. That sort of off the field stuff just makes it and brings everybody together on the pitch.
Let's talk about getting so close.
Yeah.
The hardest part of the show.
It's going to be.
16th of May 2025, our second leg against Chesterfield in the playoff semi-final. We had an advantage going into that match. What are you thinking when Charlie Lakin hits that straight into the back of the net?
Just everything that we've worked so hard to achieve is finally just the relief. We didn't actually lose to Chesterfield last year, did we?
No.
So, but obviously we'd gone through such a difficult period at the end of the season, and to be in that position at the end of it, knowing that Charlie scored, we're going to Wembley, sort of, I don't know what happened on the pitch, but you sort of had like pitch invasion, stewards.
It was chaos.
It was absolute pure chaos. And then I think obviously Cook, their gaffer, sort of said, "Nah, just end it here." And yeah, obviously the celebrations sort of, it was just, I don't know, that feeling of just pure emotion, pure joy, but still knowing that we've got a job to do, and probably coming to terms with that a few days later that it's the job's not done, even though in the moment the enjoyment of that sort of win and that relief that we've gone toe to toe with a really good team. But yeah, it was coming to terms with that we've actually got another game in 10 days.
10 days.
So, But yeah, it was certainly a night to remember. I think I got man of the match that game as well. So I had a little Sky interview, which was a first. Like this today, a little first.
Well, we can't promise you Sky Sports quality production, although we have got to say a special thank you before we continue to Walsall College. These guys are absolutely incredible, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
We've got some serious talent going on here. I'm sure we've got some Sky Sports futures in front of us, or TNT Sports even.
Yeah, let's hope.
Wembley for the first time since 2016. What a moment that is for Walsall Football Club. Like you said, you were man of the match in that one. And then we get to Wembley. We got 10 days to plan, prep. Did you get time to take it all in?
Yeah, we actually went down to Wembley, I think, a week before. Obviously, just go and have a look around, familiarise ourselves with sort of the surroundings, and yeah, that moment of getting there, looking around the stadium, it's like, wow, like this is the first. This is probably the best place to play. And yeah, so I did sort of take it in and sort of go where you've come from to where you are now. This is massive. And you probably are thinking, just please make it one to remember.
90 minutes away from making history. Was there a lot of pressure on the lads in there? Was there a big conversation? Was there a lot of support in that locker room before you going out?
Yeah, I think we were confident. You probably had talks of the main probably talk on us at the time was probably the fall off that we did have, but within obviously the walls of us, we were still motivated. We still knew the journey we'd been on. We knew it was never going to be easy to achieve what we wanted to achieve, and people say, like, looking back on it, the playoffs is probably the best way to do it, even though it's probably the hardest way and the most sort of the emotions you get that come with it. It would have been kind of the ideal scenario, but going into the game, the same focus was there. We'd come off the back of 2 really good wins, obviously, not losing to Chesterfield, and confidence was high going into that game. We prepared the same we'd always prepared. Team talk sort of was the same. We can do this. And then, yeah, the support from the whole club, knowing that it was the first time since 2016. The ultimate thing was just ready to go and ready to get the job done. So that was sort of, for me, before walking out, it was just stay level-headed, remember where you've come from. But I can remember walking out and looking around and just thinking, this is what it's all about. This is what I want to be doing sort of for the rest of my career and being in those sort of positions again.
Sorry to do this to you, but you go down 24th minute and it was clear it was more than just a bit of a knock. What's going through your mind at that point?
The first thing I thought about was, have I hit a sprinkler head? And I thought, I'm at Wembley. It's a carpet. So there wouldn't be a sprinkler head on the pitch first and foremost. But yeah, I know myself with injuries, of course, and the pain I felt at the time, it felt like a gunshot on the back of my Achilles, obviously. I was in excruciating pain. Went to try and push off to try and block the shot from their striker, and I knew it was serious straight away. And I think I just sat there, and you think the worst as soon as you go down. It's like, probably, why me? Like, that was probably the overriding factor. Yeah, obviously get taken off. Mel sort of does the tests on me, and sort of, I think they knew it was a bad one straight away. And yeah, it's a difficult one because as I go down the tunnel, I'm sort of crying as soon as getting there, and still knowing that there's a game going out on there and sort of getting my head around that. At the same time, I think Ewan, obviously the physio we had last year, kind of said in there, looks like you've done your Achilles and you could be out for 7 to 9 months. And I think hearing that there and then was just, that's when I started bawling out. But yeah, obviously I came out to watch the second half, but I was just in a lot of pain, really.
You said you went through a tough time after that for many reasons, mentally, physically. How and what brought you back? What was the motivation then to just kind of get back to things after that day?
Obviously the days after I go for a scan, I get the news of what it was. That sort of phone call of Skitty, the head physio, Chris Skit, he told me, H, you're not going to want to hear this. You're going to be looking to be out for 12 months. And I remember being in my bedroom at home and I must have cried for about an hour straight. Obviously, I've had injuries in the past, which has probably halted my sort of progression, really. And I've dealt with them before. I'm a character that sort of builds on sort of getting myself back, having that sort of confidence that I can get back, and I've always got motivation to do that. But when I hear I'm out for 12 months, nothing sort of prepares you for that. I think my mum had someone round at the time and I just didn't want to go downstairs because of the state I was in. And I think you do think worst case, it's like, was all of that of the season that I've had really, really worth it? And it, at the time as well, I was out of contract. News going on about that with being out of contract, and it was just, for a 22-year-old lad, I just didn't know how to cope with it in sort of that moment that the news came. But then the things that get you through are your family, speaking to your mum, speaking to my dad, speaking to my brother, speaking to obviously the staff. They were very like, we'll be with you all the way. And that just fills you with a bit of confidence. And even the time where I wasn't in contract, obviously I was still going into training. The lads still treat me like a teammate. And that was a big thing for me as soon as I got back in the building and got all the horrible stuff out of the way in terms of the surgery and things like that. As soon as you're back in that building, as I said earlier, because the group of people are so good, the messages I got of friends, family, teammates just spurred me on really to be like, no, you can come back from this. And that instant moment of sort of everything's against me sort of changed and flipped a switch. Things happen for a reason. I can sort of get back from this and hopefully achieve some big things.
Do you remember what some of the lads said to you over that period whilst you're going through that tough time of surgery and getting yourself through that? And we'll get onto the contract in a moment. But was there some inspiring words from the guys in the dressing room as well?
Yeah, and they don't have to do that, but because of the people they were, I think the main one that stuck with me was Jammer. Jammer's really big with it, and he gave me a phone call, which they don't have to do. You shouldn't expect it, but I was on the phone with him. He sort of went through a similar thing at a similar age. He's been on a similar journey in terms of non-league and coming into it, and he sort of said, he flipped it a little bit. He kind of like, just don't see yourself as a footballer for 12 months. Like, it's a funny thing to say, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I'm never probably going to have a time again where the football period's so sort of busy, congested. It's like 8 months, 9 months of a 12 months sort of the year. So just even like that, and he's sort of got the positives out of it in terms of you can start something new, you can do things on weekends and stuff like that. So that sort of conversation just switched the mindset, and just to have someone there for me at a difficult time. And he wasn't the only one as well. There was so many more which I won't name, but even chats with like Gaffer, with like Gaz, Daz. It just helps in a time of sadness, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jammer is a fantastic human being for that sort of stuff. He's done something similar with me, and it just shows the character of the people we have here at Walsall Football Club. They really care.
Yeah.
And they really want to help you through those tough times.
Most definitely.
Before we close out this interview, 2-year contract must have been refreshing for you, even though you're not able to kick a ball around at the moment. We're still waiting for that exciting day to come up, but that must have been a really important moment for you.
Yeah, massively. I'm still really happy, obviously, now, and it just put me at ease. Obviously, knowing that it's going to be 12 months, that's 12 months of the 2-year contract that had gone, but that's 12 months I can work on other areas of myself, in the gym, physically, obviously off the pitch as well, mentally. And it came at a really good time in terms of after the surgery, and just knowing that I can focus on getting back. And those conversations with the gaffer, he was kind of like, we're on a journey together. This is a tough moment in there, but I want you. I know when you come back, you're part of my plans, and that just wanted me to get it done, and yeah, just move forward. And now I know my plan is to try and get back for the sort of the back end of the season with a month to go, hopefully crunch time, and hopefully, if it all works out perfect, I can have my part to play in what we missed out on last year.
Well, let's hope. And it's also refreshing to hear how inspired and motivated you are to get back and to really make a difference. We all miss you on the pitch, but it is still great to see you around the club. 56 appearances for the club so far, 3 goals in your pocket, and judging by social media, some of the things I read, you also have Odsonne Edouard in your pocket somewhere from that game against Leicester. Are you proud of what you've achieved so far, personally?
Yeah, really proud. Obviously, I'd like that to have been more. I have had 2 long-term injuries, but to get 56 games at this stage, at my age as well, it's just something. It's something to build on. And coming from non-league, had I thought I'd have done this in the first 2 years? Potentially not. I just want to work hard now and try and get many more. Work my way up to 100, hopefully.
What are you doing on the side now? You're not able to kick a ball just yet, but you've been able to work on your game mentally. And like you say, you're still going down there, you're speaking to the lads, you're speaking to the gaffer, the coaches. What do you feel like you're really working towards now?
Funny enough, it's probably longer days now in terms of being away from it all. I'm working tirelessly in the gym to put myself in that physical position. Obviously, we touched on it earlier, going across to use facilities that are better for me to get the best for my recovery. And ultimately, when I come back, the main goal is for me is to get this club into League One, really. That's sort of all the work I'm putting in. Hopefully the lads can get us in that position towards the end of the season, and I just want to get that job done when I'm back.
Brilliant. Harry, it's been great to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining us. And it's been a really fun, insightful chat. And I know everyone watching and listening is really going to enjoy this episode.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed myself.
Well, Saddlers fans, that is another episode of the podcast done. Don't forget to download, hit like and subscribe on your chosen platform. Harry, what I like to do is end this show on the guest, because that's where the focus is, and you're in that guest seat right now, so you can have the final word of the show and close us out. Thank you again for joining us today.
No, so just for myself, seeing both parts of it, I just think, obviously with it being mental health sort of month, November, I just want people to talk out. Obviously, I've gone through difficult times, so if we can all talk to each other, just have little conversations and support each other, and that's the main thing for me. Just getting around each other and pushing forward as one, really. Thank you.